name's Michael and welcome to Tabletop-Infiltrator. In today's video we will be having a look at what got me into this great and wonderful hobby we all love. I got into it way back when I was just 13 or 14. It was a Saturday afternoon, walking through town, and I went into WH Smith's. And I was looking at the model magazines like Airfix and Revel. As a young kid, I'd always loved models and toy soldiers, especially historical ones, and had always enjoyed collecting and building them. But as I was having a look, tucked away in the back was this White Dwarf number 242 Jungle Hell featuring the Catachan Jungle Fighters. I had a quick look and my eyes lit up, and I begged my dad to get it for me. And as soon as I got home and read through it, I was instantly hooked. White Dwarf did have a little dip a few years ago, turning into some sort of weird catalogue of pictures thing with some sort of weekly iteration that was, to be honest, rubbish. Thankfully, Games Workshop realised the epic mistake they had made and went back to the original format. I still don't think it's as great as it once was, but with the rise of social media and the internet, White Dwarf isn't the sole source of GW news it once was. But I still think if it wasn't around, the world would be a darker place. Or lighter, depending on your point of view. So let's have a look at the pages of history. And I'll tell you now, when you see some of the miniatures, you'll realise just how far we've come since those early days. Starting off, we've got this great cover art on the front, with these Catachan Jungle Fighters looking like they're engaging an enemy on some death world or something. And look at that, £3.50. I think it's about £5.50 now for one of these. And then straight away on the index page we've got, oh, this is great. Obviously it's like the format now that you give it tells you what's going to be in the book. Mordheim, no idea how you say that. I never even knew when I was younger. Warhammer, and then 40k, and then giving you some artwork. Look at that, the old Lictor model. Oof, boy. And then you've got some scouts on there. Those are, I think those are still the same scout models that you can get now. And the Catachans and some scenery. You can already tell this is going to be great. Look at that old board type with a lichen, and I can guarantee you that's like homemade. So already loads on the first memories, that is, on the first page. And then you've got Paul Sawyer, so his little fat bloke. So he's got his editorial there. New in town. You've got some Death World veterans appear on a jungle planet to assault Eldar invaders. Still the old kit range. Codex Catachans. Those guys still haven't changed. And then news. Warmaster, look at that. Oh my goodness, I remember when that came out. And I wanted a High Elf army as well. That's great, that is. That's so good. And then obviously it gives you an overview of the codex that was coming out at the time. And look at this art, like, I just honestly, when I got this magazine, I was hooked straight away. You've got Death World veterans advance through the dense jungle foliage. I mean, these Catachans, they still look great now, but they are getting on a bit, so they need a refresh, but so cool. He's definitely not going to live against him. That's great. Iron Hand Strachan. They've redone his model, I think. Games Workshop have started refreshing the guard range, so they've recently just come out with an upgrade sprue for the Hadean box, which gives you upgrades for heads and arms and weapons. And they've been doing a lot with the Catachan range, releasing in the character models for them. That's cool. Yeah, just look, really, like the artwork is just great. You've got a little team, like mortar team there, and then you've got, look at that, just those boards are what I I just think these are great. Looking at Games Workshop boards now, when you see them in the White Dwarf magazines now, they sometimes look like there's too much going on. Like on the board itself has got designs on it, and then you've got all the other scenery that goes on there. And sometimes you do find it hard to know what's going on. But this board just looks iconic, so good. And then moving on to Wolfpack. This was a short story, and I think it was for BattleFleet Gothic. Yes, it was. Honestly, if I had the money, and if I knew, I didn't know much about the hobby when I first got into it and started reading when I was only 13 or 14, but if I could have collected a fleet back then, I would have done. So good. And I remember reading this, it was really cool. And then if there was ever a picture to sum up Warhammer Fantasy, this was it. Batronian Knight coming through to attack a Lizard Man. That was an iconic, like, walking past the Games Workshop. I think they had this as a poster or something up, hanging by the door or something, and it just, so cool. I mean, I don't know how the Lizard Men will be fighting Batronia, because that's Old World and that's New World, but still, so cool. And then there's, I don't know what this guy was. Franco Xavier Niggio. But yeah, I remember he did like quite a few conversions with that particular model. Yeah, there he did. So he did like a Steppenwolf for Mordheim, and then he's on a mount, and then he was on a chariot. I mean, that's so cool, man. And he did like a 40k version as well. Yeah, so epic. Right, little conversion of a jet bike there. Death from the Shadows. So I think this was looking at, what was it? Something about the Dark Elves. And look, I love this. These little short stories, these little nuggets that you'd read and be like, yes, I want to collect Dark Elves. I want to collect High Elves. And just giving you some rules, I think, on Assassins, or something that you can play with them in 40k. But again, look at that. Square bases with goblin green on them. So cool. Yeah, I think it was just giving you an overview of the combat challenges, equipment. Oh, I miss Warhammer. Oh, and then look at this! Stuart Witt, I remember this. This was awesome. These models, these Orcs models, they'd stand up even now. I mean, some of them do look a little bit dated, but so cool. And it was Goths, I think. Yeah, he did it as a Goths army. If you ever wanted something to inspire people to collect 40k, all you'd have to do is show them this. So cool. And then this custom, I think it was a custom battle wagon that he made. Yeah, this was it. And I remember he made it from, it was a custom one, and he made it from, these tracks came from like a World War II Tiger tank model, and then the death roller here at the front, he made from a loo roll, I think it was, and he stuck stuff to it. I mean, look at that. That is so cool. And honestly, these models still hold up now. I mean, I know they've started redoing the Orc range with the Beast Snaggers, but still, that is awesome. And then you've got Tales from the Black Library. So you've got Blood Quest, Titan, Demon. Oh, mate, so cool. And then Mordheim, which is I think, what was it, a specialist game? Like a skirmish game, I think it was. Yeah, so cool. And I love the artwork is epic. It's so good. And the models look alright, don't they? I mean, they're starting to get a bit dated now if you look back at them, but honestly, they're so cool. And then it gives you, I think it's like scenarios and stuff, and yeah, all the different scenarios that you can play in the ruined city. Lost Prince, the Pool, Monster Hunt. Pretty cool. Flamer templates, I remember those. You lose an eye trying to figure out where those were going sometimes if you leant too close to the scenery. And it gives you the profiles for some of the characters. Yeah, really cool. Witch Hunt. And you can tell these guys, like, they loved the hobby and they got involved. And Games Workshop was a whole different animal back then. Yeah, really cool. I remember reading all this. This is brilliant. And look at this board. This is all custom scenery. This is all custom built. There's no kits or any of this. It was all built. I can guarantee you this is all built, custom made. And the boards just look epic. I'd quite happily play on a board like this now. Yeah, so this must be the like battle report type thing for this, for Mordheim. Someone tell me how you pronounce it properly. Yeah, and you honestly, there was enough detail in here that it gave you, it was immersive. You knew what was going on, and then you had the pictures to go along with it. Sometimes when I'm looking at battle reports now, and in some of the latest White Dwarfs, you've got the little blurb of detail that tells you what's going on, and then you've got sections all over the place saying what's happened. And sometimes you get, I still find that I can read these a lot easier nowadays. But still, I mean, they're still great, the battle reports now. So that's just, but I never got involved in any of this. It was, by the time I actually was fully aware of the hobby, times had moved on. Right, so that's cool. Right, chapter approved. Xeno report, and then we've got rules for the lictor. Springs a trap on the Ultramarines, and then down here you've got the old Cadian models, I think, being attacked by 3 lictors. And again, a little blurb, bit of detail here. And they're still doing this now, giving rules to units in White Dwarf. I mean, the current Tyranny range needs an update, but it was an awesome when they did do it to bring those up to date. And then awesome bits and pieces about head office and working. I mean, look at that. Christ, look at that computer. And Warmaster, wow. This was one of their specialist games that they released. And I honestly wanted a high elf army so much. I mean, it didn't work out. It didn't carry on for very long. But I thought it was absolutely great. It was a case of you just get... This enabled you to have that epic feeling of scale when it came to playing Warhammer Fantasy. Because you could have like quadruple the amount of units because they were on that smaller scale. That's awesome. And then you've got the pricing for some of them. Chimera, £17. A Leman Russ Battle Tank, £17. Basilisk, 17. Hellhound. I mean, obviously you've got to take this, you've got to take inflation into account, but still. I mean, back in the day, back then, £17 was a lot of money. But yeah. This here, this is what I love about White Dwarf back in the day. They used to give you great hints and tips about modelling, so using green stuff to get some extra fur on these boars, and working some like detail onto and covering up like the mould lines or the connections between the pieces of the model, helping to fix broken miniatures, like adding purity seals onto the Terminators, giving some extra detail onto your models with like a little pouch. Yeah, adding some hair so your models, which are all exactly the same, could be broken up a little bit. Yeah, I love all this. Brilliant by Games Workshop. BattleFleet Gothic, Advanced. Honestly, Games Workshop, bring this back. I was so unbelievably sad that I couldn't get into BattleFleet Gothic. I just didn't know about it when I was so young. And then you got Chaos Battle Force box set for £40. So you've got some Khorne Berserkers, an old school Rhino, some Chaos Space Marines, and then some Chaos Bikers there. And then you've got some how to make some custom scenery. Wow, it's so cool. And points range for these specific things that you can add onto the board, and what the rules they do for them. Look at that, Venus fly traps and Brain Leaf, Canuck Floater. That's really cool. I'd love all that. I'd make them now. In fact, I might do. These are brilliant. Jungle trees. And then what else have we got? Well, I think it's on some of the specialist games. So Warhammer Quest, Deathblow. I mean, if you had one of these now, they'd be worth a fortune. Original Bloodbath, and Games Workshop, credit to them, bringing back the specialist games. So good. I mean, I don't know what happened to Curse City, but I'll let them off, I suppose. Like Titanicus, Blood Bowl, Necromunda, so cool. And then over here, all the Games Workshop stores with a contact number for them. You don't need that nowadays, don't you? You've just got it all on your mobile. And then where they were opening GW stores. This is so cool. I think they were called like the White Space Marines here by Mark Edwards in Games Workshop Richmond. What's he got here? I think it was his custom chapter, I think, and they called like the White Panthers or something. You've got like some old school Terminators. That I wish I'd kept my captain. I would have painted him up now. And then you've got some Tactical Marines, and look at this like the scenery, like the trench works. They look really cool. And then you've got the traditional Goblin Green. Some Assault Marines and an old Razorback and a Dreadnought. I think he said he put washers in between the arm joints. Yeah, that's it. It stands about 1 inch taller. I think he put like washers and stuff in between the joints to make it stand out a little bit bigger. You'd have to add a few more washers in now, because these old models are quite short. And then you've got some events that are happening. Games night. These Stormtrooper models. I wish so badly I'd bought a squad of these, because if you have a look for these on eBay, they're either not there or they are an extortionate amount of money. And I just thought that I know why Games Workshop had to get rid of them, Stormtroopers, because it's like infringing on copyrights with like Star Wars and stuff. But these models, I'd have these now. Right now I'd have them. They look so cool. And then moving on to, yes, so this was the reason why I used to buy White Dwarf, which I looked forward to every month, which was the battle report. So you got an overview of what's going to be happening, and then you sometimes used to have like a short story at the beginning just as an intro to it. And then you had, and I think this one, yes, it was Dark Elder versus the Catachans to coincide with the release of the Codex. And just look at this board, it's gorgeous. Oh my goodness, it's so good. So good. So it gives you the scenario, Keith Robinson and Jarvis Johnson, and gives you an overview of what they've chosen for their army. Let's have a look. What were they going for? Was it a 1,000-point game? Yeah, I think they were going for 1,000 points. So cool. And then you've got the army overview. Look at those Dark Elder models. Look at them. They are old. I mean, back then they looked epic. I mean, they still look good now, but And then these Catachan, the Catachan Jungle Fighters. So you've got like a command squad, looks like. And you've got, what have you got there? Colonel Macrae with a plasma sword and with a power sword and plasma pistol. Oh, so good. Yeah, man. Some squads here. Heavy flamers. You see that one there? It's got a bit of like camouflage on him. That's so cool. And then this was it. I love these battle reports because you got the table overview, and then you had the arrows pointing in the direction where you were going, where the units were moving from, and then you had an overview of what happened in the turn, and then your pictures down here. Yeah, so cool. This brings back memories. And I believe that like the Catachans had rules for moving through dense terrain, like it wasn't there, and they could it reduced line of sight for the Eldar. And then you've got some snipers like hidden up in a tree. Awesome. And then I think the Catachans moved round and set up like an ambush, and then just jumped onto the Dark Eldar and just annihilated them. Yeah, so cool. The first wave of witches attacked the Catachans with incredible speed. Right now, I think in this one the witches were destroyed, but now those Imperial Guard wouldn't stand a chance against witches now. They'd absolutely shredded in close combat. So cool. And then moving on to turn 3, we've got Mandrake's pounce on the Catachan Colonel. The hidden Catachan devils ambush Noah Kai and proceed to incinerate her with her routine with her flamers. That's so cool. So cool. And I think this is when the battle started to turn against the Dark Eldar. Because the Catachans just love this like dense jungle terrain. I think they used it. With all the Dark Eldar wiped out, the witches run downstream towards the only intact raider to make good their escape. Yeah, it wouldn't happen now. They get just ripped to pieces. So cool. Brilliant. And then the end gives you a little roundup of how it was. And then again you've got a little story just to round it off. And then at the back, this was amazing. The mail order for Games Workshop. I wish they'd put this in there in White Dwarf still now, because I used to look here and be like, right, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. So all of this is new. Look at it. A lot of these models have been redone now. I think that one's been redone. I'm 100% sure he's been redone. And like the jungle plastic trees, £3 per bag. A lot of the metal arms, and then the heavy weapons team. I mean, you can't find these now. Oh. And then your specialist game, more models for there. And then your subscriptions to some of the magazines and books and things that you can get. And then in-store mail order. And then Warmaster, giving you advanced details. Slay Marbo. Yeah, his new model looks epic now. And then in here, your order form, you could order up. You write out what you want and then post it off to them. Wow, things have changed. That's awesome. And on the back, giving you a preview of the next issue, Warmaster. Ah, oh, so cool. Mordheim, and someone tell me how to say that. And then Warhammer 40k. And I think Warmaster was, I loved it. I really wanted to collect it. So great. Yeah, White Dwarf 242, Jungle Hell featuring the Catachan Jungle Fighters. And there we have it. I really love that magazine. and I've read it dozens of times. And I mean really, those Drukhari models, looking back at them now, they do look really dated. And I think Games Workshop have done a fantastic job with updating the range. And if GW can do the same with the guard regiments like the Catachans, bringing them up to the same standards, it will literally be a license to print money. And one more thing, bring back BattleFleet Gothic. Honestly, it's an entire aspect of the game that's currently missing, and I really think there'd be a huge demand for it if Games Workshop re-released it. I'd instantly buy it. So that's it for another week. If you've enjoyed the video, let me know, as I have a considerable amount of retro magazines we can have a look through. I also plan to do reviews on the latest White Dwarf magazines when they are released every month. Remember to give me a thumbs up if you've liked the video, and if you want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button there in the corner and switch on notifications so you never miss a video. All this really does help at no cost to yourself, and I'll hopefully see you next time.